Welcome to Connected by Community. My name is Ann Thompson, Wealth Advisor with Ballantine Capital Advisors. We are joined today with Anna Waters from our Ballantine office and then Don Williams from an organization called JUMPSTART. So welcome, Don. I am so happy to see you.
Well, thank you for having us on here.
Yeah.
We look forward to this inspiring conversation.
I hope it is inspiring. We were having a little funny one before we started the video. So if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself professionally and personally, that would be great.
Okay, so my name is Don Williams. I grew up in Spartanburg, South Carolina, graduated from Spartanburg High School in 1989. Professionally, I've always been an entrepreneur. Since 1991, I've been my own boss pretty much. So that was just a gift that I was given. So ran a couple of business, janitorial services, hair salons, and also nowadays I do like private consulting in conjunction with my role at JUMPSTART.
Well, great.
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
That's awesome.
Family?
Yes. So, okay, you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So my wife and I, we have 6 daughters and 1 son. So, so our kids, our son is the youngest, right? So our daughters start at 35, 33, 31, 28, 24. And then at home, we have a 16-year-old daughter and 14-year-old son and 7 grandkids and 1 on the way.
That is
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
My
So 7
gosh,
kids,
that's
7 and a half
amazing.
grandkids right now.
wow. That's awesome. You got a whole sports team at home.
Yeah. And it is really a treat when we all go out of town together with all the kids and grandkids. You have to take a break from the vacation when you come back from vacation because they will you out, you know.
Yeah. When my kids were like teenagers, I used to say, I come to work to get some rest and relaxation.
Yes.
So you definitely have kind of experienced that.
Exactly, more ways than one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, fantastic. Well, that is exciting. It's not very often we talk to like a born and raised local South Carolinian. I'm married to a guy from Anderson, but I'm originally from New Jersey. Anna, you're actually a local, aren't you?
Born and raised in Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Good.
Oh, there you go.
Upstate.
Upstate.
Yeah.
You know what? We're expanding. So you're actually a co-founder of an organization called JUMPSTART.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us a little bit of information about JUMPSTART?
So JUMPSTART is a faith-based prisoner reentry program. Our program starts while our participants are currently incarcerated within 2 years or less of being released. Our program is in 19 of the 22 institutions across the state of South Carolina.
Wow.
And the way that it works is we actually go inside the institutions working closely with the chaplain's office to identify inmate leaders, individuals that have shown leadership potential. And so we go through a training process using our own curriculum of training the inmate leaders. And then we have individuals that's within that 2 years or less of getting out that sign up voluntarily for our class. We go through an interview process and we try to choose 40 to 50, because sometimes we may have 80 or 100 individuals that sign up, but we try to choose the ones that's within that 2-year window of getting out, because our program is solely focused on reentry and reentering society and discipleship. So we prefer those individuals that's closer to getting out. Right. Now, once we identify those individuals, then we send them through a 4-week training. It's just a 4-week training. Then that's after we've trained our leadership team, because the leadership team facilitates the curriculum. We also have volunteers that come in from the outside, depending on which geographic area that they stay in the state. They'll choose that particular institution that's kind of close to home, because you wouldn't want someone from here driving to Columbia.
Yeah.
So you kind of look at the map and see which institutions are close by. Yeah. So classes are held on a weekly basis at each institution on different days of the week, different times, right? And the reason for the volunteers from the outside is not so much to facilitate the class, but just to be a support for our inmate leaders, but also being that breath of fresh air for the men and women that's going through our program who's currently incarcerated. Because
Right.
if you think about it, it could get lonely back there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And if you have no outside communication, no mail coming from any family members,
Right.
you can't call anyone. The only connection to the outside world that you have is those that come in there to work. And that's not always a pleasant relationship.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to have someone from the outside to come in and can give you a hug, can shake your hand, give you a word of encouragement, that means the world.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because while you back there, you're already thinking about, man, when I get out, society is going to be looking at me this way, that way. So you see someone that comes in that's a part of a
Right.
community from the outside, it just changes the whole game
Huh,
for
I
that
never really
individual
thought
that's
about
going
it
through the
like
program.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, never really thought about that. Well, that's great. Now, the leaders that you're choosing within the jails that you're working in,
Mm-hmm.
are they within that 2-year window as well? Are they part of like the group when they come out, or are they going to be training like this set of people and then the next set of people? I mean, how do those?
That's a good question, Anna. So the way that it works in some institutions, just like yesterday, I was at one of the institutions, and the gentleman who's one of our leaders, he's been there 33 years. He has a life sentence, but this is kind of his calling, his mission.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that this is his work while he's incarcerated. So, but we have some individuals that go through the program and are within maybe 5 or 6 years of going out. So this is how we continue to identify leaders after. So when we start a new institution, of course, we have to go in and allow the chaplain to help us pick.
Right.
So the way that our program works is when you go through the program, so it's 40 weeks. When you go through the program, you graduate at 4 different tiers.
Okay.
All right. And you graduate either blue, green, yellow, or red. And I'll share with you what each one of those are. If you graduate a blue, that means that you have leadership potential. And if you have enough time left on your sentence, then you qualify to come back as a leader next year.
Oh, okay.
Right? If you graduate and you're a green, you're not quite leadership material, but you've dealt with some of the issues that brought you to prison and you're well on your way to a successful reentry.
Yeah.
If you graduate yellow, that means that somewhere along the process, because we dig pretty deep. You know, our curriculum digs pretty deep because we want individuals to really be self-aware and identify what really brought me to prison.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times the conviction, that's what got you your bed here. But there's a deep-seated issue that probably stemmed back in childhood
Right.
that just through life experiences caused you to make poor choices. I'll tell you a story about that in a second. And then anyone that graduates as red, that means you've completely stopped, and somewhere along the way, you either just was coming to class thinking that it was a get out of jail free card, or we got to a certain issue and you just flew below the radar because you wasn't ready to deal with it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the beautiful thing about it is that those that graduate yellow or red, if they have enough time left on their sentence, they can come back and try
that's
it
good.
again.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So back to the story that I was going to tell you. We had a gentleman, and he had done about 23 years on a life sentence, and he was finally making, getting out for parole, and it was graduation time. Because we do a graduation at each institution. Our classes usually run from February to November.
Okay.
All right. So this gentleman, I was up, just encouraging the class, and he was sitting on the front row. He was crying. And, I thought it was, tears of joy. You about to get out of prison, been down for a long time. But I asked him, would he like to share with the class, because he's about to go home, and he got up with tears just streaming down his face like Niagara Falls, and he was just saying how going through the program was such an experience that made him so self-aware of what brought him to prison, some of the root causes that he had been carrying around all of his life. So when he was young, his father, he had a baby sister, and he grew up in an abusive home, and his father thought that his sister wasn't his child. So on a couple of different occasions, he asked this young man, he said, now, tonight I need you to, they stayed in, in a wooded area in a trailer park, and his daddy told him, said, now, tonight I want you to go outside and get a cinder block and drop it in your sister's crib, or you're going to get the beating of your life.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, that is
he took
horrible.
the beating because that was his baby sister.
Yeah.
So a couple of years later, I think he said his sister was maybe 5 or 6 then, and they used to play in the wooded area, where in the neighborhood that they stayed at. And so his daddy approached him again and said, when y'all go outside to play, you take your sister out deep in the woods and you tie her up to the tree and you come back home, or I'm gonna beat you. So again, he took another beating. But what that did is, and eventually, he left home.
Yeah.
And kind of struck out. I think his dad left, and the family kind of broke apart. But what he was able to identify through the curriculum that we take our program participants through is that, well, it wasn't the crime that actually, brought me to prison, the conviction, you know what I mean? Because I broke the law, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me commit that crime is because way back when I was a child, because of my daddy, who was the authoritative figure in my life, wanted me to do such disgusting things, it made me resent everything that represented authority.
Oh, wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was an eye-opener for him. So all through life, anything that represented authority, he hated it.
Yeah.
Because he never was able to go back and deal and uncover and process, why in the world my daddy trying to get me to kill my sister? And he's supposed to be the head of the household and lead me and train me in the right way that I'm supposed to go.
Well, what's amazing is he was in jail for 22 years, and our system did not help him get through that and overcome that, and it took your 40-week program to do that. That's quite amazing.
Right. And mind you, throughout life before even going to prison, he had been in and out of foster homes, juvenile facilities.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But he just bucked against authority, and it was because of some hidden hurt and pain that nobody was able to identify to help him process in a healthy manner and to be able to dispose of it. Because we all have, experiences that we have in life that causes hurt and pain, and we have to figure out a healthy way to process it and dispose of it. If not, we're going to drag it from this phase of life to that phase of life, and life going to keep happening, so stuff going to keep getting piled up,
Yep. It just adds on. Isn't it amazing how parents can just screw people? I'm a parent, so I can say that I'm sure there's some issues deep down.
We've all have been there.
Yeah.
So that's what JUMPSTART.
Wow.
That's what JUMPSTART does on the inside. That's the front end of the program, right?
And now I was looking at your website, and you guys have actually built a village.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, because that's after you're done with the inside and they're coming out. That's totally different than I've ever heard anyone doing before to kind of rehabilitate and assist them. What's their next step? You provide like so much solution for them.
Right. So we take a holistic approach.
Yeah.
So upon graduation, the individuals that graduate green or blue, then they qualify for what we call our outside portion. So here you are, you've been through the first part, which is the inside program, and now when you get out, you don't have anywhere to go. How do you start over? How do I take this information that I've received and apply it in the outside world when I don't even know where I'm gonna stay? I don't know where I'm gonna get my next meal from.
Right.
So now, and we've had this component since we first started, but over the years, the demand have grown, which kind of gave birth to the idea for Restoration Village. So upon release, men and women that come to our outside housing, right now we can house 50 men, 10 women.
Okay.
But what the outside program does is you can stay 12 to 18 months
Yeah.
after release. We provide employment assistance, case management. We partner with Access Health that provides health care services until they're gainfully employed and their benefits kick in. We also work very closely with probation, pardon, and parole for individuals that's on probation. You know, we make sure they get to their appointments. We provide transportation to and from work. Any individuals that have trauma, whether they experienced it inside or prior to coming,
Right.
we have a counseling service that provides counseling for those individuals. And it doesn't cost our program participants a dime because a lot of these are community partnerships
Yeah.
that
That's awesome.
care about
Yeah.
the whole well-being of an individual returning back to the community. So we do Social Security card, birth certificate, identification, all the pertinent documents that they need in order to be a citizen
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then we also provide case management
Yeah.
services, and they can stay with us, like I said, 12 to 18 months, and then we have another graduation for them. So what we've learned is that individuals that are they may be from Charleston or anywhere around the state, but once they kind of find that stability
Yeah.
through employment, new set of friends, new church home, and just the community of JUMPSTART as a
Right.
whole, you know, meeting with other alumni, that everyone has a mentor,
Yeah.
then 9 times out of 10, they usually sink their heels there in the community. We do a lot of financial literacy. Each program participant has to turn
Awesome.
in a budget sheet each
Yeah.
week. And we've even had participants, and it give me cold chills when I say this, but have been first generation homeowners in their whole
Wow.
family. You know, they'll go through the
awesome.
program, and then upon graduation, either they find them an apartment, you know, or a house somewhere to rent,
Right.
or they get themselves in position while they're in the program to where they can purchase a home.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really, you're empowering them.
Right.
And that's so important because a lot of times they're let out of jail and they open the door and it's like the bus is going to come by at a certain time and you know, they're not providing that. How do you get a driver's license? How do you,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
all those different things, and how do you write a resume, and how do you interview for jobs and stuff like that? I mean, all that is just so needed for those people, and you know, it's hard not to go back to the old ways if you haven't been taught the right ways.
That's exactly right. So I'll share another story with you, and then we'll talk a little bit about Restoration Village. So imagine this. I want you just to follow me for a second. Imagine you've been out of society for 10 years. Cell phone, new.
Yeah.
You know, we had a gentleman one time that had did 26 years, and he went with our program director to the gas station. The program director said, well, man, I'm going to go ahead and use the bathroom, fill it up. Gave him the debit card. Well, when he came out, the guy had the gas pump in one hand, the debit card in the other, because when he went to prison, you wasn't putting your debit card
No.
in, you know, you pull up and, wait, you probably don't remember this, Ann, but Anna, I know you do. Do you remember when you used to pull up like to a full service
Yeah, the
gas
guy would
station, they
come
pump
out.
your gas and clean
Yeah.
your windows and everything? That's what he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see?
That is so funny.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you don't think the changes in technology that have happened and just, you know, expectations. You know, you get in a car, and if you haven't driven a car in 20 years, it's a push button. Where's the
Yeah.
key? You know, all these things have changed. So I can just imagine how confusing that is.
And without support, then
Yeah.
you just kind of drift off into the night, and eventually you go into survival mode and you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So imagine this. You get off, you're incarcerated, and you hearing, hey man, there's a lot of jobs in the upstate. You from Charleston. Well, shoot, they're gonna give me a one-way bus ticket. You know, if it's a lot of help in the upstate, I'm going. So the Greyhound bus drop you off. like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, downtown Spartanburg or downtown Greenville.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so where do I go? So you got to ask around, where's the shelter? You get there, and they don't have bed space.
Yeah.
Come back, check tomorrow. But, man,
do I do tonight?
What
Yeah.
What am I going to do tonight? So you kind of man it up, put your boot, tighten up your bootstraps and be like, okay, well, I'm just find me a little spot to sleep tonight, because you'll find the homeless community out and about.
Right.
And so you do night one, and then, but within 24 hours, you have to go to probation. Well, my God, where's the probation office?
Oh my gosh.
So you get to probation office, the only thing you have is a prison ID.
Yeah.
And they running down to you all the stipulations of your probation, and if you don't do this, you going back to prison, right?
Oh my gosh.
Well, okay, I thought all the jobs was here, but where are they? I can't go because I still got on these clothes that I got from prison.
Right.
And then as far as work, I don't have an
ID,
I don't have
yeah.
a social security number, so I stay in the street night too,
Oh man.
right?
Yeah.
So get up that third day, try to make something happen.
Yeah.
It ain't working. Now my stomach growling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need something to eat. I'm going to need a change of clothes, somewhere to go take a shower, because I can only hang out at QT for so long.
Right.
And then you know the rest of the story from there.
Yeah.
You see? So with JUMPSTART being in position to help men and women prior to them getting out, then that's a win for the whole community, because you have someone returning back to the community that already is in the mindset of, all right, I got to do this, and I have somebody to help me to do it, to help me feel my way along, you know? So, just by providing those services, we started in 2008, myself and two other gentlemen. So just in the services that we've been able to provide over the last 15 years has kind of increased our popularity and the desire for men and women to want to come through the program, right?
Good.
But what that caused us to do back in 2018 is like, okay, what's the long-term goal for sustaining housing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it has been times early on to where, because individuals get out on a monthly basis from Department of Corrections on the first of the month. I tell you ladies the truth, there has been times that in our early years to where we may have 2 or 3 individuals coming like next week, but we got to scramble around and find a house to rent, furnish it, because we promised them on the inside, you do your part, we're going to do our part.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's our commitment to seeing lives change and the trajectory of individuals' lives go to the moon pretty much. You know, because we all have, we still here, we have a mission.
Right.
We have destiny and purpose, regardless of what bumps, we come across in the road along the way. As long as we're still here, that mission and purpose that God has called us to is still in effect. We had just took a little detour. You know what I mean? So our role and our job is say, okay, this happened, but let's dust your pants off and let's get back to your destiny and your purpose and what you've been called to, because you're not the mistake that you made.
Right.
Your future, with God, your future is greater than your past. But sometimes we don't know who we really are until our lives are transformed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the direction, and you have to believe in forgiveness.
Yes.
I mean, everybody deserves forgiveness if they're willing to ask for it, and if they're willing to, like you said, put in the effort. Then they should be given another chance to prove themselves.
That's right. That's right. So with that demand, it caused us to say, okay, how do we provide stable housing but can serve more people, so we're not scrambling 1 week before the first trying to go.
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? So the idea came about, the board kind of challenged us on how to increase living space.
Yeah.
So we had a gentleman that was friends of the ministry, and I mean, we tried everywhere, and there's certain stipulations to where some convictions can't
Zoning
yeah,
and-
so all
yeah.
so all of that, and then the price was sky high of everything,
yeah.
right? So we had a good friend of good friend of the ministry that he said, I tell you what, he said, I'm gonna go down there to the probate, and I'm just not gonna leave until I find y'all something. So
Wow. That's wonderful.
yeah, so we made him a pallet down there at probate. We took him
Send him a
meals.
pillow.
Yeah, we took him 3 meals a day.
A couple cups of coffee.
Yeah, we let him shave once a week. Checked on his family, let him know he's still down there, but he'll be home. He said he loves you. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. So, but he worked tirelessly on finding us adequate land for a reasonable price.
Yeah.
And down in Welford, South Carolina, he
Yeah.
was able to find 26 acres.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So right now we've developed 13 of those acres. Our goal over the next we had a 3-year goal is to have 22 homes out there and be able to increase our capacity from 60 to 96.
Wow.
So we have 4 5-bedroom homes out there now, and we have one more that's coming, and then we'll do another one by the end of this year. That's kind of our goal for this year. But we also have our Opportunity Center that we're also going to be building out there, and the Opportunity Center is going to house our offices. There's a chapel there. There'll be event space for organizations that may want to have events.
Right.
We're going to do a culinary arts school for individuals that's interested in getting into culinary arts. So whenever we have an event there, they'll be doing they'll be doing the
awesome.
catering.
That's great.
We'll also have classrooms where we can do workforce development training
Right.
and really preparing individuals, not just those that come through JUMPSTART, but those that's returning back to our community that's either unemployed or underemployed
Right.
due to their background.
Right.
So we're going to be able, at Restoration Village, we're going to be able to, not so much on the housing side, but on that training and preparation work front, because you may have some individuals that have a healthy home to come back to.
Right.
It may not need the housing, but they need the training,
yeah.
so that they can be employable and kind of stand out above the rest. So we're really excited about what's going to take place at the Opportunity Center at Restoration Village, and how many more lives beyond the individuals that's going to be living there. The impact that it will make community-wide.
Yeah. And just to speak on like the impact JUMPSTART makes, I'm gonna look at my paper real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong. I got these off your website. So you have JUMPSTART has a success rate of 96%.
Yes.
You have 2,100 graduates, and right now you have 4,900 inside that are in the program currently. That is awesome.
Yeah, so at any given time from February through November, with all of the prisons that, I told you we're in 19. I said 22, but it's actually 21 because they did close a prison. So we may have 1,000 to 1,200 participants, in different cohorts, different institutions going through the program at the same time. And the cool thing about it is, say if you get, and we've had this before where an individual get transferred, if as long as JUMPSTART is at that institution, they can hop right in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And
Yeah.
kind of they'll just be with a new cohort, but
Right.
But
New
nevertheless,
mentor,
Yeah.
new leader,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Now, did I see you're in multiple states? It's not just South Carolina?
yes. So that was another thing that just kind of fell in our lap right around the same time we was trying to figure out how to increase our capacity. So at least once a week, we were having individuals from different states calling, wanting, because I don't know if you all know, but South Carolina has the lowest recidivism rate in the country. So the national average is 70%. 7 out of 10 go back to prison.
Yeah.
South Carolina has 19.5% recidivism rate. And it may have
Really?
fluctuated
Yeah.
some since the last time I checked, but it's
Wow.
between 19 and 21%. And then JUMPSTART success rate is only 4%. reoffend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So
Yeah.
so you have other states now coming to you and asking for assistance, or have you actually kind of like branched out and opened Jumpstart organizations in other states, and are they looking at building facilities like you have done?
Okay, so the way that it works now, after we got all of that interest from other states,
Yeah.
we developed what we call JUMPSTART USA, which is another nonprofit that provides support and guidance to other state chapters. They want to set up a chapter in their state. So we have, you know, the requirements and everything that it takes, and we provide, because it's just a few of us. So there's no way in the world, you know, that but when we have individuals in a state that's saying, they raise their hand and say, okay, I'll take the lead on this. Then we train them on how to put their own teams together,
Right.
and they can operate under the JUMPSTART model.
Right.
Right. So we're in North Carolina, Georgia, and Ohio. Right now, all of all of those different chapters, they're only working inside the prison now, because we always recommend give it at least 3 years before you try to venture
Right.
into housing.
Right.
For one, it's because you want to get enough graduates
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gone through the program that's close to getting out, for
Yeah.
Right.
one. And then you want to really focus on making your inside program like that lifeblood. We
Right.
used to say a long time ago, the inside drives the outside.
Yeah.
So the work that you put in the lives of those that you serve while they're incarcerated is going to determine your success when they get out.
Right.
So you need to be tunnel focused on, let's build into these lives, and we'll worry about housing in a little while. You know,
Right,
now what we have encouraged some communities to do, or some chapters, I'm sorry, to do when they have individuals come out, is build relationships with reputable transitional programs in the community where you can make referrals.
Yeah, that's
You see,
good.
and that way you're not trying to take on so much all at one time. So you can refer them to this organization or that organization that does housing well.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And the same thing with employees. If you live in that community, you know, then you'll be able to move around and find,
Right.
you know, some employers that are willing to be second chance employers and provide career opportunities and not just want prison labor. I'm
Right.
just being
Right.
honest.
Pay you nothing and everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that robust kind of like partners that you have out there in the community is really ideal. And you know, it doesn't cost much to develop those partnerships and be able to provide those resources for people. But it's building those relationships in those different states that really takes time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And even like with the community partners that we have, on the third Wednesday of every month, all of the community partners come to the table, right? So you have mental health, SC Works, Access Health, probation, partner and parole, voc rehab, right? So they sit down with our caseworker and they discuss the individuals that came to see them the month prior
Right.
that had already gotten out, as well as talk about, okay, this is who we have coming at the first of this month. This, because we get a housing application on everybody, so we know, you know, if they're on medication, you know, everything that's going on with them, because when they come, within that first 72 hours, they go through orientation and they get a binder. Each participant get a binder, which for the next 30 days tells them all of their appointments that they're going to. Well, you're going to voc rehab here, you're going to probation there,
Yeah.
you know, to kind of ease the angst, to let you know we got you. You know, just breathe in some different air, and we're going to move through this process.
Right.
So that has been beautiful, you know, being able to work, like especially with Access Health. We had a gentleman, and this is what really drove us to our relationship with them, is that we had participants that was getting out of prison and they were taking maybe blood pressure, diabetes medication, but when they left, they didn't have any medicine, or they had just a minimal amount.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was causing setbacks for them, and then they have to go to the emergency room and then get get their medicine prescribed. Well, through our partnership with Access Health, when they get here, their prescription already ready because we've discussed them a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
That's fantastic.
That way, if I get out and I only have 2 diabetes pills, I know that, in the next day, by the time this out, I'll be able to go and get me another refill. Yeah.
That's important. I mean, healthcare, employment, healthcare, having just those needed things, or even knowing how to get those things. I mean, I know we have elder clients that come to us and they're like 63 and they're like, what are my next steps? The next step is you got to sign up for Medicare, but a lot of people just don't know that unless somebody's there to tell them what to do. But if you're walking out of a jail and getting dropped off in a downtown area, there's
with 1 blood pressure pill.
Right, with 1 blood pressure pill. I mean, you're kind of doomed to either end up back in jail or end up in the emergency room. I mean,
and now you have an emergency room bill that how I'm gonna pay for it because I don't have a job.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think what you're doing is just amazing and fantastic. And
Thank you.
What we do with these podcasts is just so interesting because we get introduced to so many different nonprofits that we didn't know about before. So I feel like what we do in our discussions that we have with people kind of get the word out a little more and get people introduced to different ways to give of their time and their assets if needed. So tell us how people can, if somebody did want to mentor and volunteer, how they would get in touch with you or get in touch with your organization to do that.
Okay, so you can always visit our website, www.jumpstartvision.org, JUMPSTARTVISION.org. And on the website, we offer tours. If individuals want to learn a little bit more about JUMPSTART, we offer tours once a month. They can sign up for tours on the website. They can sign up to be a volunteer, and it'll give a list of the different areas where we have a need for volunteers, mentors. And then upon that, then we'll reach back out to you, and we offer training for all of our volunteers, just depending upon which area they want to go in. If they want to go inside the prison, then we have a training specifically for that. If they just want to work on the outside, be a mentor, specific trainings for that. We also do what we call a monthly gathering to where you come have a meal. It's usually the first Friday of every month, and you get to mingle with some of the program participants.
Great.
And over a meal they play spades and Jenga and all different type of board games. I hadn't seen them do Twister yet, but maybe somebody take a walk on the wild side at one point. But and it's just a great time of just fellowship and fun and really being able to look at the person for who they are, not what they've done. Because, sometimes you can look at too much TV and you have a perception of what someone is coming out of incarceration is supposed to look like or act like or say. Right. So you can potentially be a little standoffish because you have what the media has kind of showed you in different movies on what it's like, when actually it's just a human being that made a poor choice in a split second, and it cost them a certain amount of time out of their life, but they still think, they still feel, they still want to be accepted. So just over a meal and over a game, you get to see, oh, they really are normal.
Yeah.
They might think we're not normal.
Yeah, exactly. It can go either way.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Now, are you on any kind of social media?
Yes.
With JUMPSTART?
Yes. So on Facebook is JUMPSTART SC.
Okay.
Same thing on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
JUMPSTART SC.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now we've heard where to find you, Don, and where to find Jumpstart and how to get in touch and volunteer and become active. Anything else that you wanted to add or us to remember?
I would just say, don't allow, just because someone has been to prison, that to distort your perception of who they really are. Because they're still gifted, they're still talented, but those negative things just need to be channeled in the right direction.
Right.
I would.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
But it takes the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes, if I've only lived my life a certain way, right? Then if someone comes along and they see me trying, and they come along and say, well, let me show you how to spend that gift and talent or use that energy this way. Now you've shown a person a direction that they never thought of. Do you mind me being transparent for a second?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so I told y'all I always have been an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Well, I sold marijuana.
Oh.
I sold marijuana and I went to prison for marijuana, right? Now, I laugh about it now, but I told people that, when I got out of prison, I started a business. So I tell people that I always had an entrepreneur spirit. I just had the wrong product for a long time.
Well,
right?
it was too early. Right now, you can
Yeah,
go,
right.
like
Exactly.
Colorado, California, those
Exactly.
states. Yeah, it's legal. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
but
all in the spin.
that's it. It's all in the spin.
Yeah.
But it took
Yeah.
somebody helping me to shift my focus, to the right way
Right.
before I was able to, I was just channeling my gifts and talents in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
all. That's all that it is. Because I call it transferable skills. I'm still the same Don Williams, but I'm just on a different track now.
Right. Right.
I'm on a different track. And that's with me or anybody else that has experience, that we was just fumbling around with what we had, trying to survive, not really realizing that, man, you got a gold mine that was given to you when you was born in your gifts and talents,
Right.
but you got to point them in this direction.
Right.
That's what I was meaning earlier when I was saying, if we can just shift our perspective or have someone to come alongside of us to say, I see you, you got a little potential, let's go this way. But if everybody's standoffish because, oh my God, they went to prison and, then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
sometimes we just got to let the guard down,
Step out of the bubble.
step out of the
We
bubble.
all live in too much of a bubble, and we have our mindset set in certain ways and certain directions, and sometimes we just gotta, experience other things
Yeah.
so that you can accept other things.
That's
Yep.
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. Now,
Yes.
we do have a signature question. I'm going to let Anna ask
Uh-oh.
it. And, and it's not a trick question, and it's kind of going to hit on your personal side.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
So, what makes you tick? So, what wakes you up in the morning? What motivates you? What makes you want to get out of bed and just keep going and keep pushing?
Oh, that's easy. I thought y'all was finna come out of the left field or something. Okay. Well, it's that desire to, just like I said, to help individuals see their potential and to use their gifts and talents that God has given them and help them channel them in the right direction
Right.
and let them know that you are more than who people said you are.
Yeah.
You're bigger than your mistake. You're not what you've been through. So I get up out of bed every day thinking about that. Who life can I impact? How can I give myself away today?
That's
you see what I'm
awesome.
saying?
Yeah,
So and that's the driving force. Now, every day ain't easy,
Oh, no.
because everybody don't receive it the same way every day. You'd be surprised over the years, especially the early years, how many employers that I went to talk to about trying to be second chance, and I used to would just leave out of their places sometimes and cry all the way back to my car because I couldn't believe that people really felt like that when
Right.
there's somebody that just need an opportunity,
Right.
that's willing, that's been trained, that need an opportunity, you know, and then I'm one of them. That's why I had to start a business, because nobody wouldn't, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't give me a shot. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't, you know, because it
look
worked
where-
out better.
Yeah, and look at all the people that you're impacting and
Yeah.
you're assisting. So
Yeah.
that's great.
So it was their loss. It was them employers'
Yeah.
loss that
Exactly.
didn't
Yeah.
give me a shot. Yeah.
I think we do this a lot. We just get stuck in the middle ground. Your tunnel vision. But we're, as individuals, as people, as parents, we're always doing this. We're always kind of leading, but we tend to channel it to the people that just mean the most to us. We don't expand it to others.
Right.
So you got 7 kids. I mean, you're constantly channeling them and like tilting them in a different direction than the one that they're going in to make
depending on
sure,
what they got going
depending
on in their life.
their
Yeah.
talents and the things that are impacting them. But individuals are the same way. I mean, sometimes it just takes a kind word, an extra tip, just a little advice. And if somebody's ears are open to accept it, sometimes it can mean a lot.
That's right. That's it. That's exactly right. So I don't necessarily put each person in about, well, this is my family, so I got to do this for them.
Yeah.
It's across the board. Everybody the same. You know, now my family is still my family, but I'm going to give, whether it's a family member or
Right.
an individual, I hate to say on the street because that ain't what I mean, but
Yeah.
someone outside of my family,
Right.
I'm going to give them the same. Because it's something, and I think it's just the way God wired me, but when I see potential in people and I see they want, now I'm not going to sit up and do more for you than you want for yourself. That's just, you know,
Yeah, I getcha.
that just don't work, you know. But when I see individuals that's really got that drive and got that potential, but just don't know the way, it almost like it pulls me towards them. You see what I'm saying? I couldn't stop it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I'm wired, because I believe in you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I believe in you until you give me a reason not to.
Oh, Don, you're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wish you much success with JUMPSTART and all your
thank you.
other endeavors that you go to do. I think you got a great spirit about you and just a burning desire to assist those in society and make us a better society.
Yeah.
So we appreciate what you do, and thank you so much for coming on our show and talking with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us at Connected by Community, brought to you by Ballantine Capital Advisors. You can find us on, what are our social media spots?
Let's see. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I think we're even on Pinterest. And then all your audio podcast streaming platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google. We're everywhere.
So Connected by Community, we do this podcast so that we can connect people together, not-for-profits, small businesses, people that have an interesting hobby, so that we can learn more about our community here in the upstate of South Carolina. So thank you so much for joining us today.